Hello, everybody. How are you guys? I hope you guys are good. For those of you that are new, welcome into the channel. Thank you guys so much for being here. Those of you that are returning, glad to have you guys back. So, as a lot of you know, I have been covering the Sebastian Rogers case and going through all of the information and there's so much. But for those of you that didn't get to see it or missed it, I just did a live 2 days ago with Scott Snyder, a retired 20-year LE veteran. So if you guys have not, and that was about the Sebastian Rogers case. So if you guys have not seen that, make sure you go back and check that out. Hello. Thanks for coming in. All right. So I want to talk about, I think people are, there's so much time and so much energy spent between this side and that side. And so many people are just strictly distracted by that I think a lot of stuff doesn't get talked about, or not really not talked about, but stuff doesn't get the attention that it deserves or the attention that it requires for something to be done about it. I'll get into all of that. Do me a favor, if you're coming in, please go ahead and hit that like button for me and make sure you are subbed up to the channel. All right. So on the morning of February 26, 2025, when Sebastian has been reported missing, okay, police arrive on scene to a mother who reported her 15-year-old son that he either ran away and or walked out of the door on his own. That is what the police were told at the very, very beginning as soon as they arrived at the house. Okay. Now, as you know, if you heard the last live with the former detective, where he stated that this scene was not treated, there's a difference between when a scene is treated as a crime scene, as a possible crime scene. There are things that are done that were not done in this case. So right off the bat, at the very most important time, right? What was needed to be done by law enforcement was never done. Okay. The inexperienced sheriff who shows up at the house, okay? The inexperienced sheriff shows up at the house. He just happens to be, again, let me make this very clear. What I am stating is information based off of the research that I have done. I am in no way telling you what to think, what to feel. Do your own research. Okay? Everything I am expressing is alleged and in my opinion only. Let me make that very clear. But the inexperienced sheriff shows up on the scene. Okay? He just happens to be former Navy, just like Chris and Katie are both former Navy. Now, whether or not one thing is connected to the other, I don't know, but it's definitely something that should be talked about. Oh, Scott, thank you so much for coming in. Everybody in chat, say hello to Scott. He's the former detective that I had on here with me the other day. So it was not treated as a crime scene, right? Fingerprints were not done. Luminol was not brought in. Two very, very important things. Video footage was not taken and or collected from neighboring houses, including the neighbor across the street, which we had discussed before. Hello, everybody just coming in. Thank you, guys. No, okay. So again, we're going right back to the morning of. Chris and Katie were not looked at or treated as persons of interest on the day that we are speaking about, on the day that he was reported missing. They were not treated as such. They should have been, in my opinion, they should have been looked at until there was a reason not to look at them, right? The scene should have been treated in a way that if something did happen, that was preserved. Again, none of this was done. That house should have been totally gone through forensically, which is so extremely important. The question is, why weren't these things done? Was it because they were, they didn't have the experience to deal with something of this caliber? Was it because they didn't have enough manpower to take care of everything and make everything happen? For whatever reason, they just dropped the ball at the very beginning of this case. And that is extremely important when it comes to trying to help figure out and paint the picture of what happened so we can, or no, so they can help find Sebastian. Let me see. Anyone and everyone should have been talked to and or interviewed. Friends, family, coworkers, neighbors, everybody, as soon as possible. Well, see, that's the problem, right? If that's what happened and the cops showed up and believed the parents or believed the mother when she said, listen, my son walked out, my son ran away, whatever. But from the story she's telling us, when I woke up at 6, my son was not there. So they definitely should not have just taken the parents' word for it and then not treated the scene like they should have. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem here, is that was not done. This case from the very start was not investigated as it should have been, or as it could have been, to maybe really make a difference. As far as Sebastian is concerned, the police dropped the ball. Finding Sebastian is a goal that is, I don't want to say unattainable, but it would have been a lot easier had this been treated the correct way in the first place. And listen, I'm not sitting here bashing law enforcement. That's not what I'm doing. But with them doing what they did in the beginning and not treating it as it should have been, that is the first stepping stone. The first stepping stone to disaster. Because things went so long that it just makes it harder and harder to achieve that goal of finding Sebastian and bringing him home. I just wish the investigation was handled differently. And unfortunately, that's something that just wasn't done. You can't take parents' word right off the bat. You have to treat the scene as a crime until you know differently. Exactly. And unfortunately, it's not what happened in this case. The next thing that I wanted to bring up. Now, we know that they were not how do you know that they weren't looked at like suspects or persons of interest in the beginning? A, because they were allowed to do whatever they wanted. Chris was actually able to leave to go pick up his RV or his camper, I'm sorry, and was gone for what, 19, 20 hours to make a 3-hour trip. And cops just let that happen. And I don't really, that's how you know. Okay. That's how you know. Well, see, okay. And I understand that. That's the thing though. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if maybe if they had more manpower, if they would have been able to have, okay, let's have people searching on the grounds. But also at the same time, we've got to run this investigation as if he, because what if he didn't run away? What if he didn't walk out willingly? So I think, like Scott said in the previous live, that if you don't have the manpower, you got to get it from somewhere. You got to make some calls. You got to get some people in there to help you. So it's done in a correct manner. The people, the person or persons who helped aid in the disappearance of Sebastian are 100% responsible. But law enforcement is responsible for the investigation and the integrity of the investigation. And that could have used some work. I actually took that picture and I sent that to someone that's really good with like trying to, she's just really good with stuff like that. So I sent the picture over to her and I'm actually waiting to hear back from her on what she thinks. Because from what I was told, that picture that's going around on X was taken from the area where the flashlights were. I am going to pull it up, but I only have the one that somebody actually went around and outlined it. So that's the one I have. I will get to that. Now, from everything that we have seen and heard from Chris himself, he has punished Sebastian in ways that most of us don't agree with, most of us think is wrong. But these are all coming out of his own mouth. He treats Sebastian in a shameful way. As far as what happened to him when he was younger, treating him as if instead of him being the victim, he was this, this participating party at 7 or 8 years old. He has a history of treating his stepchildren badly, according to his ex-wife, Nina. He has had multiple, out of his own mouth, he has had multiple CPS reports. According to things he has said, Katie has Katie has at least one that we know of as well. Now before Sebastian went missing, there was that recent CPS case where the caseworker showed up and he was talking to people. Chris was talking to people about wanting to leave Katie and leave the marriage, right? So these are things that are very, very important. And when people say, why are you looking at this person like you are? Why are you looking at this person like you are? We have to simply go, just listen to everything they've said. Just listen to everything they've done, you know? I personally, now this is just my opinion, I could be wrong, but I don't think Katie herself hurt Sebastian or would hurt Sebastian. However, with that being said, I do believe, in my opinion, allegedly, that she would very much cover for her husband and very much choose him over her son, which she has shown to do over and over and over and over again. Give me just 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that. And I know a lot of people think that Katie is afraid of Chris or that he, abuses her or whatever. But I personally don't believe that she is afraid of him, only because, I mean, she could, she's trained in the Navy as well. She could kick his ass to Tuesday. So I don't personally believe that, but I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. Now, I also want to talk real quick about Miss Kathy Bowersox, Chris's mother. Now, she will protect what is hers, right? She will protect what is hers, aka her son. I do believe that she would clean up a mess for her son, as she wants to keep reputations intact, because what the world, she wants to paint this certain picture for the world and doesn't want that tarnished. So, in my opinion, she would clean up for her son. Not stating that she did. I mean, look at how she was going after Nina for a baby, nonetheless, that according to Nina, Chris didn't want in the first place. Wanted her to terminate. But then, not because he loves the child, but because he wanted to hurt her, he went and tried to take the baby away. And who came running to his aid to back him up? Mommy did, of course, and then wanted to publicly attack and shame Nina. That shows you what type of person she is and what she is willing to do to protect her son. I actually saw this tweet the other day, or this tweet the other day that said, like, what's one hill that you will go down on no matter what? And it was a post from a woman saying that I'll die on this hill. No matter what, your husband always comes before your children. And I thought, I seen that, and I could not, I had to sit there for a minute. And I was like, what? I'm like, see, it's mothers like this. Like, I believe that's what we're dealing with Katie, is that she constantly, when Chris threw Sebastian's stuff away because his room wasn't clean, and she let that happen, she chose her husband over her son. When Chris would physically hit Sebastian with a belt or whack him or physically discipline him, and she let that happen, she chose her husband over her son. When Chris was talking about leaving her and leaving the marriage and leaving her because he didn't want Sebastian around anymore, why is it so far-fetched to believe that she would choose her husband over her son when that's all she's repeatedly done? Why? Why do people not seem to want to grasp that? She has already made it very, very clear that what Chris wants is what Chris wants, and I want Chris happy. It is absolutely insane. Now, I don't know. I haven't heard this. I'm assuming, but you know what they say when you assume things. I would assume that they would have forensically searched the vehicles of the step parents that, you know, but they didn't do what they should have done forensically at the house. So I don't know if they forensically tested the vehicles. Maybe they did because Katie did leave the home that morning. It's absolutely crazy to me. I have heard I heard something about the Proudfoots having the house cleaned professionally after, but I mean, I've heard it from people, so I don't know how true it is. Um, but if that were the case, if that did act like I don't see that, I don't know how that could publicly happen in the public's eye, knowing that this kid was missing and the police just let that happen. That's mind blowing to me. Um, but if that is the case, then I mean that just then the people, the police officers that are or the law I'm sorry, the law enforcement that is investigating this case needs to immediately be removed and somebody else need to step in. But this is what I'm saying. This was the whole point of this was that they didn't do what they needed to do forensically in the beginning. They didn't treat the house as a crime scene. They didn't forensically go in there, do fingerprints, do luminol, do anything that they should have done. So even if it comes out like later on or somebody else steps in, some other agency steps in to investigate this, they're gonna have to do it without forensics, without any of the things that they should have done in the first place. If that makes sense to you guys. So I did see where Seth was on a podcast. I don't know who he was talking to. He was on a podcast and oh, I don't remember. But anyway, and he said that Chris said to me, "Listen, if people keep asking and people keep pushing, I'm going to tell them why I don't want Sebastian around my daughter. And if I do tell them, then nobody's going to want to find Sebastian anymore. Nobody's going to want to look for him anymore. Nobody's going to care." That goes to show you. Now that was Seth saying that Chris said that to him. Now that goes to show you right there. If he in fact said that he has the way he looks at Sebastian. Like, I just don't understand all the outrage as to why, I don't understand the outrage as to why people are defending these people when they've done and said the things that they have done and said. I say everybody's suspect until they're not. Like, that's how it should be. That's how these crimes should be investigated from the very beginning. It's so true seeing why I saw so many women that chose the man first. So sad. It is so sad. he was and oh my gosh. I mean, Chris has said some wild things out there on these podcasts, and Katie, like I said, in my opinion, I don't think she harmed him. However, she's not doing what a mother should do. She's not out here fighting for her son. She's not out here, you know, if I was her, or no, let me say this, not if I was her. If I was me and my child went missing and I legit had nothing to do with it and I just wanted him home, I don't care if people were verbally attacking me every single day, all day online. I would still, because it ain't going to stop me from fighting to find my son. It's not going to stop me from fighting to find the truth. You can run your mouth all you want. You can try to point the finger at me all you want, but I'm out here and I will remain out here until my son is found. And that's just the way that it would be. But Sebastian was failed not only by Chris and Katie, not only by his stepdad, not only by his mother, not only by his step grandparents, not only by the law enforcement that handled the scene and the investigation, not only by CPS, but he was failed multiple times over and over and over again. And that's the truth. That's the truth. That's what it is. And the truth hides in plain sight, if you will. And all it takes is people willing to expose it. Don't let the guilty party walk free. If you know something, say something. Be the person or a person that actually comes forward and stands up for Sebastian, because he didn't have that. Yes, he got his father. His father's still out there looking. But I'm saying, if anybody out there that knows anything, if you know anything about Sebastian or his whereabouts or where he could be or anything, then stand up and help bring him home. Shouldn't be afraid of anybody, whether it be people, the Bauer Saxes, the Proudfoots, anybody at all, whoever it is, even if this is just some random stranger abduction, which chances are very low of that, but it could happen. See something, say something, speak forward, because Sebastian has not had enough people in his life willing to do that for him. And I don't care what anybody says. Again, this is only my opinion. But the only victim in any of this is that of now 16-year-old Sebastian Rogers. I'm going to ask you guys to please hit that like button if you are just coming in and you have not already done so. Let me do something real quick. Okay. Sorry about that. Well, and not for nothing, but I have zero faith in, at this point, in these tip lines. Let me get that off there. I have zero faith in these tip lines because they don't have the manpower to man them 24/7. And again, it could go a couple of days before someone goes and checks it, and if there was a tip, you could have lost out on that. Like, I just don't understand it. From and I did feel a lot better after I had that live the other day with Scott, because it did help me get a different perspective from a law enforcement's point of view. But there was just so much that started off in the wrong direction that it just makes it very hard. I'm gonna pull this picture up, but again, I don't know. Give me 1 second. I'll pull this up for you. Sorry. Thought I had it ready to go. Just gotta grab it real quick. All right, so let's look at this. I want to look at this one first. So here's the picture. And again, this is allegedly taken from, so people had lightened up the video, changed the contrast. But this was, from what I was told, taken from the flashlight video. Okay. Now, let me take you over here, because this is what this person is saying. They're saying this is Chris, this figure right here. This is Katie. And they're saying this might be Sebastian. It looks like something is wrapped in a blanket. Now, again, I am not stating that that is what you are looking at. Okay. I am not stating that. But let me see. Oh, yes. Anybody that is interested, please consider joining up, becoming a member. I will be doing my members only live. I wasn't able to do it on this last Saturday because I was getting ready for stuff I had going on Monday. But I will be doing that this Saturday. Okay, so the members only live. So again, please consider becoming a member if you can. And if you want to do anything else, the links are all down in the description below. But anyways, let's look at this picture. Because I know it's getting a lot of it's getting talked about a lot. Okay. So the only thing I would say here is Chris does not appear to be a tall man. Okay, this is the only thing I can say. If this is supposed to be Chris, he is a lot taller than what this person believes is Katie right here. But that's quite a difference in height. And from everything I've seen of Chris, he looks he does not look tall at all. He looks kind of short. So that's not, if this is two people right here, okay? Now, again, I have somebody looking at this for me. So I'm waiting to hear back from them. But if this is, I don't think it's the way that she is thinking that it is, or whoever put this out. Just because That's a huge height difference. I hmm. Yeah, I know. It's funny with pictures too because, you know, and again, you could be right. I'm not stating what is in this picture because it is very hard to tell. Okay, so I'm not comfortable saying, yeah, that's Chris, that's Katie, and that's Sebastian, right? Like this person thinks that it is. I'm not confident enough to say that. But what I will say is it is crazy how people's perception is different because there's somebody that could look at this and they see something, and there's another person that can look at it and see something totally different. So just take that into consideration. Well, I can tell you in the Chronicles of Olivia interview that they did, he was not that much taller than Katie because you've seen him walk up to the chair. He's not that tall. So I mean, there's not really much else I can say about this. Um, without, you know, until I talk to someone because I don't know. I mean, a lot of people look at this and they're like, I don't see people at all. But, that's the thing though. I, s- God, I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but so I'm just going to wait. I'm more comfortable just waiting until I, get get a second opinion on what I'm looking at here. I'll put it that way. We do all see different things. So it's a difficult one, but yeah, and the guys, the thing is the facts are the facts in this case, and we know what we know. I mean, law enforcement could have a lot of stuff going on in the background. They could be working up this big investigation and they could be doing all the things that they should be doing, and I hope that's the case. But again, the most important, the first, 24, 48, 72 hours is the most critical. And at that time, at least the first 24 to 48 hours, this was not being looked at as a crime from inside, in my opinion. Oh, thank you, Scott. Thank you again. But I definitely will be bringing this back up and talking about this in a more this photo in a, you know, when I have more information. Absolutely. Those marks that were on Chris's arm, absolutely insane. Should have been looked at, because the excuse, "Oh, I get dinged up at work," is not working for me. And it shouldn't have been working for anybody. And again, I just want to make it very clear that I am not trying to in any way bash law enforcement. I back the blue. I am not trying to bash law enforcement, okay? I'm just saying that for whatever reason, the ball was dropped in this case from the very beginning, from day one. And it is what it is, but there's no other way to twist it. All right. Did I cover everything that I wanted to cover? I mean, again, I could be wrong. I'm not psychic in any way. But I just feel like Sebastian's alive out there somewhere. I do. I I hope he's not being harmed wherever he is. But, me and Chad were talking about it, and he's like, "Babe, the chances of him being somewhere where, if he is somewhere, the chances of him being with good people somewhere is so almost slim to none." Because he's like, "Listen, if any family members or anybody had it, who's not gonna come forward with a $250,000 reward? Who's not gonna come forward to, or, for whatever reason, to help cover for the Proudfoots? Who's gonna do that?" And I don't know, but listen, I just hope he's out there. Chad's like, "Nope." So he it's not like he followed the whole thing like we did, but he's heard me make all my videos. And we were sitting at the table the other day, and I'm like, "Well, what do you think?" And he's like, "Stepdad did it." I'm like, "Babe, you don't even know what you're talking." He's like, "Yep, from everything I've heard." He's like, "That's my opinion." Which, that's not funny. That's not why I'm laughing, just so everybody knows. Um, I'm just saying that, he's like, "To me, it's as easy as that. Look at the facts. Those are the basic facts. That's what you go with." Oh, absolutely, it's real. It's real in it's real in everything, no matter what it is, law enforcement, everything. We do have to keep the hope and pray that he is out there and that he's okay and he is found safe. Um, Miracles happen. I hope he's found and brought home. All right, I think I'm gonna end this one here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Oh, yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Glad you brought that up. Yes, Chad and I will be starting a weekly t podcast. It'll be me and him. We're gonna cover all kinds of different subjects, all types of stories. We're gonna, I think it's gonna be awesome. So, yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. All right, yes, I'm gonna end this one here. Please, again, hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Please consider becoming a member. It's an easy way to help out the channel and you get extra content. And if you want to do anything else, you can donate through Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. All the links are down in the description below. I love you guys. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay safe. Keep asking those hard questions. Keep spreading that light. And I will see you all next time.